Chapter 26 Giant Problem Attention All Adventurers. Someone forcefully enters the building. All help is required. I turn to see a royal guard has entered. What is it you require us to help you with? Someone asks. Several level 5 giants have appeared near the walls. He says, and some people gasp. How tall are the giants, I ask. They are 50 feet tall, at least the guard says. Nice, I say. I'm pretty excited now. Which way, I ask. To the northeast, that's the direction of our home. Come on, I grab and drag her outside. I take her behind the building and I change to a dragon. I help and get on and I lift off the ground. As I start to fly away, I take a look at the guild entrance to see multiple frightened adventurers looking straight at me. After a short flight northeast, I find a group of 6 giants. They look like normal people, except bigger and a whole lot fatter. I decide to take care of the problem. Using my wings, I fly through the group and end up decapitating each one of them with my wings. Slightly surprisingly, my wings just go straight through. I don't even slow down. These are either very sharp and durable, or these giants were very frail and weak. I use space magic to contain all of them. I think it has endless space. I wonder if I could put this planet inside. I fly back to the kingdom and back behind the guild. All the adventurers are still standing there. I land back on the field and allow Anne to get off. Before I can change back from being a dragon, some of the adventurers come behind the building and see us. Why do you have a dragon with you? One of them asks. All of them are still frightened. I become as small as a fingernail in front of everyone. It's like they are now those giants I just took care of. To them it seemed like I just disappeared. I have no idea what you might be talking about. I say. They probably think it was Anne. Where did it go? Someone asks. What could you be referring to? And asks as I fly towards the front and everyone follows, and as she walks towards the front. When I enter the building, the only ones present were Mark and Olivia. They were deep in conversation. Without any hesitation, I revert back to a full-sized human. Apparently neither of them notices me since they had no reaction. Hey, where'd that guard guy go? They both jump. Of course now they're surprised. Oh, hi, Miss J. He went outside with the other adventurers. Mark says, all right, I say, where'd you come from? Someone says from behind me, oh, you know somewhere. I spot the guard that asked for help and walk over. All 6 of them are taken care of. What are you talking about? You just left. You couldn't have even arrived to them yet. I pull out the head of one of the giants and put it in front of the guild. Is that proof enough? Who are you? You can call me Miss J. I must notify the king. The problem has been solved. He runs off towards the castle and we need to check on home. Those giants came from that direction. I say, okay. I open a portal to lead us home. We step through. We see the house. The entire right side of the building has been crushed. Well then, I say, mother, father. I could tell and was about to cry as she ran towards the wreckage. I follow her and just beside the trashed area were our parents. I'm so glad you're okay. And is obviously relieved when she sees them and gives them each hugs. We were luckily on the other side of the house when giants came through. Are you two all right as well? Mother asks. We're fine. Where did they come from? I ask. We don't know. This just happened. Strange. Don't worry about us. Get back to the kingdom. They might need your help with them, father says. I already took care of them. Oh. After a while of talking. And I decide to head back. We go through the portal and end up in front of the guild. Someone obviously took the head of the giant that I placed here. When we enter, everyone goes quiet. There seems to be even more people than this morning. We silently walk towards Olivia. Why is everyone so quiet? I ask. Word has gotten around that you have a dragon with your party. Also that you defeated 6 level 5 giants by yourself. Well, there's not much we can do about it. It's a bit past lunchtime. Let's eat something in. I say and walk over to the cafe. People at least begin to whisper. I overhear one of them. How can they be the ones that defeated the giants? They're just kids. She pulled one of their heads out of midair and put it in front of the guild. The other girl was seen next to the dragon that was spotted. It disappeared shortly after we saw it. Then we walked inside, and they had somehow finished the subjugation of the giants. Wow, news really spreads fast. HEY. Who is this Pharaoh's foul party I've heard so much about? And where can I find them? We are about to finish lunch, and someone bursts the door open. This can't be good. Chapter 27 Challenger 1. The person that decided to burst into the room has orange hair. It's very short, and it looks like it hasn't been cut properly. They have a black mask over their face, and their clothes are all baggy. It looks like they're homeless or something. After a few seconds, nobody said anything, so they say, "Tell me where I can find that group so I can beat them up." I was a little shocked that they had a feminine voice, but quickly shrugged it off. A few people take glances at and I. The person apparently notices and looks at us. I take a peek at, and she looks terrified. I, on the other hand, just relax calmly to finish my food. The person come over and bangs her hand on the table where we are sitting. It spills what's left of my drink. I ignore her. "So you two are the ones that named themselves Pharaoh's Fowl," she says in a mocking tone, and keeps glancing from me to them and back again. "There are rumors around here that you beat a few creatures as well as winning against Mark. There is also talk of some kind of dragon in your possession." I seriously doubt any of that is true, however. "If you did have a dragon, I would have to force you to hand it over," she says. Actually, I hear Hercules try to step in. The person gave him a hard glare to shut him up now. "I suppose you are the leader," they point at Anne. "I'm no," Anne says in telepathy, but is cut off by the person. "I see you can use telepathy. Quite the gift you've got there, so tell me, is any of this true?" "Well, yes, but," Anne says, but can't finish. "Why don't you show me then?" The leader is always the most powerful on the team, so let's have ourselves a fight, shall we? "Maybe, but I'm not Anne says, but the person grabs her arm and pulls her out of the building. I follow closely behind, so does everyone else. Once we all arrive at the field, Hercules decides to take the role of referee. "You both know the rules. No legendary magic and no killing you, we get it. Now get on with it, you brute," the person says. And just nods. I look at the audience they have. I spot Mark in the midst of the group. "Hey, who is this person?" I ask. "This is the highest-ranked adventurer in this kingdom. Besides you, she is level 7. Her name is Eliza the terrorist," he says. "Terrorist. She doesn't exactly always follow all the rules. And you say she's level 7, what makes her this?" "Yes. She can use all the common and rare types of magic as well as space. If you and her fought, you would be evenly matched unless you both decide to use legendary magic or you use your obvious trump card. And I'm sorry, but you're royally screwed." "Ready," Hercules yells, and, who is starting to look a little irritated, begrudgingly retrieves her sword. Eliza pulls out 2 daggers from nowhere. "Start." Immediately as he says that, Eliza is gone, almost as if she vanished. I can see her perfectly fine, and unfortunately cannot. In an instant, Eliza already has both of her daggers next to Anne's neck, and doesn't give in and makes a spear of light behind Eliza. Just like the ones I made. She has it fly straight towards her left leg. Eliza, already aware of it, makes a wall of earth behind her. "Maybe you should call your dragon to help you. Or maybe that thing isn't as powerful as you made everyone think." "How dare you say that about I mean my dragon?" "Well, if you think it's so high and mighty, why don't you just call it over and we can have a little chat? These people gave your party too much credit. You couldn't have possibly taken down that many high-leveled creatures by yourselves." She says, "Well, if you would actually listen to what I have to say, maybe you wouldn't misunderstand." And slightly screams. "Well, go on then." As I was trying to say before, I am not the leader of our party. "You've got to be kidding me." She looks over at me. I still have an uncaring expression and my arms are folded. "She couldn't possibly be your leader." "Well, she is. So if you decide you want to fight someone more powerful than you, go on." "More powerful?" She bursts out with laughter. "You're saying that little child is more powerful than I am?" "Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. She is the one that did all the work in everything we did. She beat Mark and has taken down every creature we've come across. Why don't you two switch out really quick? Then we can have a real fight." And looks over to me. I nod to signify that it's okay, and runs over to the audience, and I walk leisurely towards the middle of the field. Before I arrive, I feel something poking me in the back. I turn around to see Eliza with one of her daggers in my back. Upon closer inspection, the dagger bent sideways as it made contact with my skin. Eliza has a face of astonishment. I guess the hard skin I have as a dragon transfers to this body too. How convenient. How? She tries to get 2 questions out at once, probably wondering what happened and how it bent. That's rude. I haven't even gotten to the middle of the field yet. I say Chapter 28 Challenger 2. You have telepathy as well, yeah. So are we going to fight or what? Eliza takes a look at her dagger and throws it aside. She takes part of the earth and crafts a makeshift dagger from it. With her 2 daggers, she sprints at me as usual. I can see her movements and dodge her many swipes and stabs effortlessly. She stops and uses earth to make bubble of earth around me. With the little space I have, I move the earth from the ground into the area of the bubble to make a hole underground for myself. I go a little deeper and replace some of the ground so it will look like I disappeared. I move the earth around me as I travel the direction that would lead me behind Eliza. When I think I've gone far enough, I rise out quietly to not reveal myself. I also decide to sit down on the ground for her to finish as well as wait for my hair to change from brown to pink. What are you going to do now? You're trapped in that bubble with no way out. She says, oh no, whatever will I do, I tell her. Since it is telepathy, she is unable to tell that I'm not inside. She starts to condense the area she made. This'll teach you to spread rumors that you are better than me. She crushes the earth together. She must be really enjoying this. After she is finished suppressing the earth into nothing, she turns over to Hercules. There I went, not exactly. Hercules points towards me. Eliza turns slowly towards me. I wave. She jumps a little when she sees me just sitting there as if nothing had just transpired. You aren't allowed to use space magic in the fight, you idiot. First of all, that's rude. You need better manners. Second of all, I used earth magic and dug my way over here. She looks irritated and surprised at what I just said and glares at me. This fight isn't going to end anytime soon if all you do is glare at me. I say. She is now visibly furious at me. She raises her hand and decides to use more magic. Fire comes directly out of her hand. Instead of going straight for me, it reaches around me. Now I am sitting in a fire cage bubble thing. She then proceeds to shoot lightning out. This makes a funnel of lightning that enters the cage through a hole. What are you doing? I ask, giving me the advantage. She says. She uses sound magic and pushes it through the electricity funnel. I see now. Funnels amplify sound, and so does electricity. She's trying to make me deaf. I remember Mark telling me something. I can use light to blind someone. But even that doesn't work on those who can also use light magic. I wonder if the same thing applies to sound. Let's test it. When the sound reaches the inside of the bubble, she closes all the holes so the sound stays in. I cover my ears with my hands as I have made my discovery. No, it doesn't work the same as light magic. I might be deaf now in both ears. Well, I guess I should have seen that coming. I say when the sounds stop. She dispels the fire and electricity. Had enough yet? No. I just wanted to test whether or not sound magic affects others with sound magic. Just so you know, it does. Do you even know how to fight back? Yeah, but if I do, you lose. Do it then. I think she hates me, all right. I say with haste. I grab the dagger she bent and use it to stab her in one of her hands. Ahhh, she screams and drops the dagger in that hand. How did you? I twist the dagger in her hand. She backs away and pulls it out. She takes a look at her hand. It has blood spewing out of it. She takes off her mask and wraps it around her hand. Without her mask, it is easier to tell that she seems to be the same age as Anne. You know you look better without that mask on. She looks even angrier than before now. Without hesitation, she lifts earth from the ground and gives it flames. After a lot of burning, it becomes magma. Great. She now has a big floating ball of magma. I take a quick look around and find a few buckets on the side of the field. Let's hope it's water. I lift the liquid out of the buckets and throw it at the magma. The water was enough to get rid of it. Eliza looks surprised. What? Are you surprised that I can use water magic? Your hair, why did it change color? How am I supposed to know? My hair changes back to pink, it just does. Why don't we just finish already? Yeah. She speeds at me with her one dagger. I move to the side and push her to the ground. Are you done yet? She slowly gets up and I sit back down. I don't understand. How could a small child be more powerful than me? Easy, we're 3 levels apart from each other, but you would be level 4. Actually, I'm level 10, I say. But how? Another easy question. I can use all types of magic. I've never lost. She looks like she is about to have a nervous breakdown. She is staring at nothing. You have probably been more powerful than everyone else. But everyone should get a taste of losing at some point. I'm done. The winner is Miss J. Hercules yells. Eliza is still just standing there. Hey, don't worry. I'm just too powerful. I doubt I'll ever find anyone that I can't beat by myself. I start to walk back to the building. Eliza grabs my arm before I get too far. I turn around. Yes, I ask, let me join your party. Chapter 29 Full Party. Why would you want to join my party? I ask. You're powerful. Eliza says you're not a nice person. I can be nice, then do it, I say and pull away towards the building. On my way and catches me. Who is she? She asks. Her name is Eliza. Apparently people call her the terrorist because she doesn't usually follow rules. What did she say to you? She wanted to join our party. What did you say? I told her she wasn't a nice person and that she needs to become one first. That's mean. She says I only told the truth. Just because it's the truth doesn't make it right, she says, and we enter the building again. We sit back down in the seats we occupied before we left. Why can't we have one day that we don't get interrupted? I ask. You're strange people, that's why. Someone answers. I look at who answered my question to see Elsa. Why did you follow us? I ask. I want to join your party. I already said. You need to be nicer for that. I think it would be great if you joined. And shove some words in the conversation. I'm not a mean person, I swear. Eliza pleads. Well, you weren't exactly acting nice. That's because I was trying to keep the respect that I've gotten from others. You haven't even told us your name. I say. Oh. My name. We already know your name is Eliza. Oh. She looks defeated. Just let her join. And pleads. I hesitate greatly. Fine, come on, I say, dragging myself towards Olivia and the receptionist's desk. Eliza seems very happy. How can I help you, Miss J? Olivia asks when we get close enough. How do we let Eliza here join our party? I point to the person who definitely doesn't deserve to join. I just need her ID to add the party line, she says, and Eliza gives her what is required. Can you also change the name on her ID? And asks. Why would she need a name change? I ask. Well, my name says Miss A and your name says Miss J. Her name could be Miss E. It only makes sense. She says whatever, as long as Eliza doesn't mind. That's fine with me, Eliza says in agreement. Yes, I can. I will change the name on the card to Miss E, Olivia says, and leaves with Eliza's ID. Thank you for letting me join the party, Eliza says. Let's hope I don't regret it. After a few minutes of waiting in silence, Olivia comes back. All right, here is your new ID, she says, handing it to Eliza. I grab it before she can and proceed to read it. Miss E. Party Pharaoh's Foul, age 17, species demon. Class level 7 adventurer. You're a demon? I ask. I'm quite surprised. SHHH, don't say it out loud. Eliza says why it might hurt my reputation. Sure. I take a look at her. If she is a demon, doesn't that mean she should have those sorts of traits? Eliza notices my staring. What? Shouldn't you have the traits of a demon? I ask. I do. Then where are they? And asks. I can hide them with the dark magic type. Interesting, I say. What should we do now? And asks. I don't know. We don't really have any plans. Why don't you show me your base of operations? Eliza suggests base of operations and asks. It's basically just where your party meets up. That would be our house. I say. Your house? Are you two siblings? We're twins. And says. I do a face palm. How can you be twins? You look a decade older than her, she says, pointing at me and talking to Anne. It's complicated, I say. I pause, not exactly sure if we should be in her home. Look, if you really want to, we can show you our base of operations. Eliza's face lights up slightly. Please. I open a portal that leads to our house and step through. I completely forgot the house is half trash. I turn around and see Eliza stepping through after Anne. She looks left first and sees how big the house is. He faces full of amazement. Then she looks to the right and sees what has been done. What happened? She asks. Giants happened, I say. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. It doesn't matter. There were no casualties. I turn back towards the building and walk up to the door to enter. Anyone home? I ask as I walk through the doorway. A butler swiftly comes to aid us. Mr. and Mrs. Chinwyke have just sat down for supper. Shall we prepare 2 more places at the table? Make that 3, I say. Turning to Eliza, who just entered the house. Yes. Of course, the man says as he starts towards the dining room. Let's eat. I motion for the 2 girls to follow and also make my way towards the dining room. Upon opening the doors to the dining room, Our parents rejoice at our arrival. And then they see Eliza behind us. Who is this person you've brought with you? Father asks mother. Father, this is Eliza. She is a level 7 adventurer and is now part of our adventuring party. I say, and both my parents nod. I turn to face Eliza. She looks very nervous. Hey, just say hi at least. I say, only speaking to her. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Chinwyke. It's nice to meet you. Chapter 30 Supper. I walk to the table where the butler places a plate with food and sit. And follows me and sits across from me. Eliza just stands by the door hesitantly. Please join us for supper, Eliza. My mother says, why yes, ma'am. She says, walking towards the table. What happened to that egotistical personality of yours? I ask Eliza without looking at her. She sits next to me, using me to block herself from my parents. She whispers to me, you didn't tell me you were nobles. I wouldn't have asked to fight you. Good to know. We haven't told anyone other than you. Maybe next time I'll make everyone bow down to me. I reply sarcastically. Our food is brought to each of us and my father starts a conversation. How did you meet it? Eliza can't seem to say anything. I step in. Eliza, a level 7 adventurer and the former most powerful in that kingdom, decided she was jealous of our popularity, so she asked Anne for a battle. Then, and told her I was more powerful and she fought me. My father has the ever so slightest emotion of anger appearing on his face, and my mother begins to look worried. So I continue. I won easily, of course, after losing. She began to beg to join our party. I, as the leader of the party, rejected her for her self-centered nature and, on the other hand, decided to have pity on her and told me to let her join. And here we are. When I finish, I take a glance at Eliza. She is shaking and so pale it looks like she is about to die or is already dead. I look at and to see her munching on food, not paying any attention to the conversation in front of her. My parents are confused. Let me get this straight. My father starts. You fought my daughters and then became their friend. I wouldn't exactly say friend, we're more accomplices. I say, and who has already finished her food, decides to say something. I think we could be great friends. We all wait for Eliza to say something. She is currently still hiding behind me, still pale as a ghost using telekinesis. I move her chair with her on it, to sit her between me and my parents with that. I start on the food in front of me. Eliza finally chooses to reply. I'm sorry for fighting your daughters. I had no idea they were part of a noble family at the time. She drops her head. Eliza, it's all right, mother says. You didn't really harm them anyway. I laugh at that statement and look at Eliza, who turns to me as well. We both know she definitely tried to do so. I turn back to my food to finish. When I look back again, Eliza is done and is trying not to give herself attention while Anne is staring at her expressionless. My parents are almost done and are currently speaking to each other. I call over one of the butlers. Please have a guest room made for Eliza. The butler nods and leaves the room. Eliza, please follow him. We will see you tomorrow. Good night, she says as she stands up to leave. And I watch her leave. She is a much different person around people more powerful than her. I say and nods in agreement. We shall go to our room as well, mother. Father, please excuse us. Good night, my mother says. I stand up and walk out of the dining room. I look down the hall to the left and see Eliza enter a room that is most likely her room. I turn right towards our room and see Anne following. When we enter, I change to dragon form again and changes into night clothes. We eventually fall asleep next to each other. Hours later, I wake up to a strange noise. I lift my head from the bed to take a look around the room. Everything is normal except for the obvious Eliza standing in the middle of the doorway with her hands over her mouth. Do you need something? I ask. She jumps a bit and runs out of the room. How troublesome. I get up slowly and carefully as to not waken. I glide out of the room and follow Eliza, who is sprinting down the hall towards her room. I'm surprised she isn't making any noise. I follow her to her room, and when I enter, she is in her covers. Trembling, I change into my human form and ask, "What in the world are you doing?" She stops and slowly lifts her eyes out of her shield of bed sheets. "Oh, it's you," she says, relieved. She puts the rest of the sheets down. What happened? I ask, faking cluelessness. I'm afraid of the dark. Yeah, she is being so obvious. Oh yeah. I saw you running down the hallway towards this room. Away from Anne's. No, I was just Trying to find the restroom, she is still lying. Tell me really. Why did you walk to her room and why did you run away? She sighs. I went because I thought she was alone and I ran away because that she trails off. You ran away because why? Because of the dragon. The dragon that she was sleeping with. What are you afraid of it or something? I ask. Yes. Wow, hilarious. I let out a giggle. Don't laugh at me. Fine, whatever. I'll make sure the dragon won't be there. I turn to leave, and by the way, she's never alone. I'll easily stop you if you do anything to her. I step outside the room and start to head back. As I'm going, I hear a very quiet voice say, okay. Chapter 31 Dungeons. What made her think she could just walk into our room? As I walk back away from Eliza's room, I stop and enter a guest room. It would be better to take a pillow from the stack in a random room, rather than tearing one away from man. After I exit the room, I continue back to our room. I enter the room. Once I reach the doorway, I put the pillow in the corner in a way that if someone opens the door, they won't see me right away. I change back to a dragon and lie on the pillow. Sleep quickly takes me away. I wake up with a knock at the door. Miss Jessica and Miss N. Your parents and the guest are waiting for you in the dining room. All right, I respond and lift myself off of the pillow. Jess. And looks around for a few seconds and spots me. Why are you in the corner? She seems a little worried. There was a slight disturbance last night. What happened? Why didn't you wake me up to help? It was easy to fix by myself. And dresses herself quickly and we leave for the dining room. Just before we enter, I remember, whoops. That could have been awkward. I say as I become human once again. I push open the door. Good morning, everyone. Did you sleep well, Eliza? I give her a slight smile. She is sitting in the spot I moved her to yesterday. Yes, I did. She says calmly, but I know she is hiding her true, awkward, frightened self. I sit down in my normal seat and see there is already food present, so I start digging in. Soon enough, we are all finished. Will you three be going back to the kingdom? Mother asks. Yeah. We might stay there for a while too, I respond. We also need to figure out how to work as a team since I haven't ever actually been in a party before. Eliza says that last part a little quieter than the rest. No wonder you have bad people skills, I say. Jess. Stop being mean and says let's go then. I say, standing up. And Eliza stand as well, and I open a portal to the guild. Bye Jess, bye, and father says. I wave. When we walk through, we're standing in front of the guild as always. We walk in. When we do, everyone quiets down again. Olivia is the only receptionist present, so I walk up to her and ask, what's with everyone now? Well, Eliza is kind of a very powerful criminal and well, no one has been able to stop her until you showed up. Of course, well, I guess I'll have to discipline her then. What should we do today, you two? I ask and Eliza. They look at each other, then look back at me. They both shrug. I turn to Olivia. Any suggestions? Well, there is always more quests for you to take. Isn't there anything else? Well, there is. But I normally don't tell parties about it until they finish at least 5 quests. She says, is she doubting us? Just spill it. We'll have the ability to do it anyway. Dungeons. Dungeons, what are those? And asks. Dungeons are places out in the wilderness somewhere that monsters live in. For example, a cave full of monsters would be a small dungeon. Usually some kind of rewards are found in them, like weapons, armor, or accessories sometimes. You'll get lucky and they'll actually be useful. Eliza answers for Olivia. Thank you, Missy. However, there is one thing you left out. Every dungeon has a danger level as well as the individual monsters inside, telling adventurers how difficult it is to complete. The levels are ranked 1 to 10 just like everything else, but it is based on the number of floors there are in the dungeon. Each level contains up to 10 more floors than the previous. Level 10 having up to 100 floors also. A 1-floor dungeon can hardly be called one. Olivia explains. Why don't you tell people before you have them go on quests? This seems a lot more beneficial, and asks. It is because after every 5 floors, there is a level 3 or 4 monster guarding the way onward. Or as some people have started calling it, a mid-boss. After 10 floors, there is a level 5 monster preventing passage. People have been calling this one the boss. Every floor also contains a greater amount of low-leveled monsters compared to the floor before it, as well as better rewards. Usually if I tell a new party about this, they get too excited and decide to take one on, not taking the proper precautions. It doesn't exactly go so well. I have another question and says, do more dungeons just make themselves after being finished by a party? I know what you are asking, but nobody really knows for sure. All we know is that once one party finishes, everything is back to the way it was before they got there. The only thing that changes is the items received from it. Although sometimes, but very rarely, the boss will change for a single party then return back to normal. Interesting, I say. Hey, where's the nearest dungeon to this location? That would be the level 3 dungeon called Zangus. It is inside the forest to the east. Is there any information you can give us about it before we get there? I can tell you what magic the Ms-bosses and bosses can use, as well as what kind of monsters are present on each floor. Please indulge us. Chapter 32 Traveling. After Olivia gave us all the information on the dungeon, we started heading east along the main road. Knowing that Eliza doesn't know about a certain something yet, we are taking our time and walking to our destination. It's not like we are required to be anywhere anytime soon. It should take about a day and a half to arrive on foot. The information Olivia gave us is fairly valuable. First, she told us about the amount of monsters on each floor. It seems every dungeon follows the same pattern. The first floor has 8 level 1 monsters and 2 level 2 monsters. The second has double that amount then. The third has triple the first amount, making it contain 24 level 1 monsters and 6 level 2 monsters. Next, she told us about the monsters. It seems they are all some kind of wolves. The level 1 monsters are all plain wolves without magic. The level 2 monsters consist of lightning wolves and ice wolves. Afterward, she told us that the normal mid-bosses and bosses all have names that the adventurers call them. I'll get to those later, but they can all use at least water magic, air magic, and electricity magic. When we first walked out of the gate, exiting the kingdom, I was leading with and close behind with Eliza trailing in the back and had a question. Why aren't we flying to the dungeon? Can't we just enjoy the scenery? I answer with another question. It would definitely be faster. Well, that's too bad since Eliza can't handle it yet. What do you mean she's afraid of your dragon? I say. We just need to show her that you mean no harm. And how do you suppose we do that? And explains a pretty good plan to force Eliza to accept me as not a threat to her well-being. Well, I guess that might work, I say, still walking. And slows down slightly to walk next to Eliza, and they talk to each other for a time. Every once in a while I hear laughter and I smile. I'm glad they're getting along. Our party wouldn't do very well if nobody had any trust in each other. As we walk, I look at the surroundings. All I can see is grass and endless plains. I do see something large in the distance. We're headed right for it, which means it's probably the forest we need to be in. We take a small break for lunch, then continue on. And soon the sun begins to set. It's great timing since we just entered the forest. Time flies when you're zoning out. Let's stop here for the night, I say. We're going to sleep outside, and asks. You thought we wouldn't? I just never mind. Let's have supper afterwards. I make 3 small domes of earth in a row. I carve out a doorway and each one pick one. Good night, I say, going inside the one in between the others. There isn't anything to sleep on, but it's not like I have a choice. Plus, I'm too lazy to try and conjure up something that resembles a bed. Also, solid ground isn't all that uncomfortable to sleep on. Before I know it, bright light was flooding into the dome. I'm not surprised Eliza didn't try anything during the night. I basically threatened her, telling her to stay away from man. Whatever. As long as she doesn't do or try anything stupid, everything is fine. I rise from where I slept and shove my dome back into the ground. When I do, I notice and Eliza are already awake, talking and eating breakfast without me, and notices my presence first. Good morning, Jess. How long have you two been up? I ask. They both shrug their shoulders. I deconstruct their sleeping domes as well. Let's leave whenever you are ready. We should reach the dungeon at some point today. I say I can just skip the food ready, and says very energetically and excited I'm good. Eliza says at the same time, let's go then. I say as I start walking straight into the forest. Olivia told us to follow the same path until we reach the dungeon. After quite the while of walking through the forest, the sun reaches the middle of the sky, lunch already, and says afterwards we start to talk as we walk. You know, it would be a lot easier to travel if we flew. She says I know, but Eliza, I say, why haven't you told her yet? I thought you were going to show her last night. You even said it was a good plan, she says. Before I could answer, Eliza speaks up. Looks like we made it. I look ahead of us to see a hole in the ground. This is no ordinary hole, it's a rectangle. Or more specifically, a staircase. Wow. Way to be obvious, I guess we did. I say, slightly relieved I could dodge the previous conversation. Ready to enter? Yeah, let's go, Eliza says. And stays silent, but nods. Onward we march. I say, about to take the first step down. Hold it right there, a voice says. Retracting my foot and leg. I turn in every direction looking for who doesn't want us to go inside. Don't you dare you in before us, as they say this. I discover the direction the voice comes from. There is a group of 3, probably adventurers. The one who is talking is a human boy with light green hair. The person to his right is an elf girl with the same light blue hair as Anne. And to the left is another human boy with purple hair. They all seem to be about the same age as and why. We were just about to go and I respond. Don't you know who we are? The same guy says no. I really have no idea who you are. We are the hero party. God, I hate you. Chapter 33 Heroes. Hero party, what's that supposed to be? Eliza asks. We're the party that has been destined to defeat the great evil. The boy says, great evil, what's that? And asks. The leader of the demon army. The boy on the left says, so like a demon lord. I ask. Well, the demon lord is the king that reigns over the demon race. The great evil is a completely separate entity that controls the armies. So, this thing called the great evil is going to do what exactly? I ask. It is going to destroy the world. We have to stop it before that goal is completed. Back to the first boy. So this great evil is planning to destroy the world, and you 3 are the only ones who can stop this. Yes, exactly, and what would qualify you 3? I bet there are plenty of stronger people around. There was a prophecy, what would that be? It went. The 3 heroes who shall defeat the great evil shall consist of the great hero who can use all types of magic, a hero who will betray the great evil, and the hero who loves the great hero the most. This fits the 3 of us perfectly, let me guess. I start pointing to the boy in the middle. You're the great hero who can use all types of magic. He nods. I move my finger to the boy on the left. You're the one who will betray the great evil. He also nods. I change to the girl. And you're the one who loves the great hero the most. She nods as well and grabs a hold of his arm. I just have 3 main questions though. I start again first. What makes you able to betray the great evil? Eliza whispers to me, he's a demon. How can you tell? He's the son of the demon lord. That makes him a prince and very recognizable. I guess if he betrays the entire continent by abandoning it, he betrays the great evil indirectly. Second, can you really use all types of magic? I doubt it highly. I say, well, right now I can't use any legendary magic yet. But that is why we are here, he says. How would this place help you at all? There's a special item that allows the user to use any type of magic they can't use already. Wow, that's probably pretty cool. I wonder what would happen if I tried to use it. Lastly, who gave you this mission? We were given this by her mother. He points to his elven lover. She's a famous oracle who can predict the future. She has also never gotten a prediction wrong. Does the Queen of the Elves know about it? We plan to tell her once we finished through this dungeon. Well, sorry to burst your bubble, but you're not the only ones who fit that specific description. Eliza says. They all seem surprised. Who would that be? The boy on the left asks us. Of course, she says. The 3 of them start laughing. What's your relationship with the great evil? I ask. I'll tell you later, quick. Let's enter while they're distracted. Eliza tells and we simply nod. I go in first. And follows and Eliza takes the rear. After we descend multiple feet, we hear the laughing stop. Hey, where'd they go? How are they so confused? Isn't it obvious? Follow them, there they go. We hear loud steps behind us very quickly. They catch us, but they fail to notice. Fall into us and all 6 of us tumble down the staircase. It's not a long staircase, but it definitely could have been shorter. Why does a dungeon need to be so far beneath the earth anyway? How dare you? The main boy says. What did we do? I ask. You made us fall into the dungeon. Are you serious? I'm pretty sure it was the other way around, I say. Guys, the girl says. What? The boy asks, and we look at her. She is pointing further in the room. Oh yeah, right. The monsters, don't worry, I will save you all. The boy says. He quickly takes a sword out of nowhere and quickly takes care of the 10 wolves on the floor. Eliza laughs fairly loudly and I laugh in my head. I assume and would be laughing too what he asks. I guess it would make sense if you haven't heard of our party. We only formed it 3 days ago, and she only joined 2 days ago. I point at Eliza. Plus, I doubt news about us has spread to other continents. Why are you even here then? Newbies like you should never be in a dungeon, let alone a level 3. Plus, one of you is just a child. Eliza laughs again. I guess that last part is true. But you underestimate us. Oh yeah, by how much? He asks quite a lot actually. Do you have adventure ID cards? Yeah. He says, questioning everything Eliza is saying and doing. What are your ranks on second thought first? What are your names? My name is Gabriel. The main boy says this is Diana and Paul, he says, pointing at the other two. Good, now your ranks. Why should we tell you? He asks. We could all be allies in the future. And, depending on the rank, we might even leave you be. I snicker at that thought. I can already guess some of their abilities. Gabriel already said he can use the common and rare magic, but no legendary. This makes him already weaker than 2 of us. I'd guess the others aren't as talented as him. Fine. I am rank 6, she is 2, and he is 3. Silence. Then Eliza laughing harder than before. What, he asks. Oh, nothing, it's just. You guys need more protection than we do. She continues to laugh. Come on. Let's just complete the dungeon as the 6 of us. Also, don't worry. You can have everything we happen to find, although I would like to try out that item you were talking about before. At least once. I say, if you think you're so powerful. Prove it, Gabriel says. Oh, don't worry. There are plenty of ways we can prove ourselves. Chapter 34. Zangus. Well, let's go then, and says, already walking to the other side of the room where the next stairway is. We took a small break and now we're back to it, I guess. The 6 of us have already completed 17 floors, or this supposedly 30-floor dungeon. On our way, we haven't run into anything that holds the description of the item Gabriel was talking about. Every floor we've gone to without a boss has been dealt with by the so-called hero party. Whenever there is a boss, I've just grabbed them with telekinesis before they can do anything and dropped them from the ceiling. So far they've all easily died that way. They aren't smart enough to catch themselves with any kind of magic. I'm not sure if any of them in the hero party know which one of us is actually defeating them so easily. You know, I really was hoping for more of a challenge. Eliza says as we all start walking down the stairs towards the next floor. Don't jinx us, the apparently demon boy named Paul says. I think Paul might know Eliza is also a demon because he acts differently to her than he does to the rest of us. After walking down the stairs to the 18th floor, we run through the routine of their party taking care of all the monsters. I don't know how there are so many wolves. Even the mid-boss and boss floors had them. Including this floor, we have already taken out 710 wolves. After 30 floors, the total would be 650. Plus the 6 big guys following the same pattern. Level 10 dungeon would have 5,500 monsters. Plus the 20 other ones. Are you sure this item you're looking for is in this place? I ask Gabriel while continuing on to the next floor. I'm quite sure, even if he sounds so sure. I can sense some doubt building up in his voice. It could just happen to be at the very end, sure. 10 floors later, we still have yet to find it. Well, there isn't much left. You still sure you didn't make a mistake? We walk down to the 29th floor where 232 level 1 wolves and 58 level 2 lightning and ice wolves await. As usual, we let the other party take care of them and start going down the last stairway. Wow, we're already at the last floor. The elf named Diana says, isn't it exciting? And asks, yeah. Those two are getting along quite well. What's the boss on this level? Gabriel asks when we near the end of the stairs. Eliza somehow managed to memorize everything Olivia told us about the dungeon. The normal boss has been named Zangus. After the dungeon, it is able to use all the common magic types, but rarely uses them. It can also use electricity and dark, which is what it will normally use. It is also really big, about as tall as 3 grown adults. That won't be a problem. We'll just do the same thing we've done every time. Gabriel says, you mean what we've done? I ask, oh, you haven't done anything. It was obviously one of those two. Actually, it's quite the opposite. The 2 of us have yet to do anything, Eliza says. Motioning to, and don't make me laugh, he says. Can we just get on with it? I say, walking into the final room. Every floor with a mid-boss or boss has had other monsters. Before the main contenders show up, we have to get rid of the rest. Of course, we leave that part to the heroes. After all 300 wolves are taken care of, the light in the room disappears. And if you would I say, and illuminates the area around us, I'll help too. Diana says, and she brightens the area in front of us. In front of us is an innocent-looking pure black puppy. Once grown, I'm sure it will become vicious. Is that Zangus? I thought you said it was big. That can't even be said to be the size of one of us. Actually, it is about the size of one of us. Gabriel says, obviously referring to me. That is definitely not the normal boss. Zangus would be a dark yellow color, not black. Eliza says, let's kill it. Paul says, not so fast there. Gabriel holds a hand up towards him. I notice something on the front leg of the wolf in front of us. I presume Gabriel notices too. Is that what you're looking for? I ask. That's exactly it. I'll fetch it for you. I say, starting my walk towards the not-so-small puppy. It doesn't react as I walk up to it. It's just staring at nothing like a statue. I reach for the wolf's leg to touch the bracelet. When I touch it, my hand immediately retracts because of a strange burning it gives to me. What was that? Gabriel asks. How am I supposed to know instead of trying again? Using telekinesis, I lift the dog's leg, slide off the bracelet, and shove it towards and Eliza. See if it works for one of you. What do we use as a target? And asks. Why not the freshly grown puppy called Zangus? Paul says. I turn my head towards the other three and see them looking at the dog. What do you mean? I ask, continuing my head turn. It couldn't have possibly grown. Okay then. In front of me is a very large dark yellow wolf. The description of what Eliza was saying. It is also not just staring at nothing anymore and seems very agitated. Taking the bracelet is what most likely triggered this. I say, you started it, you fix it, Gabriel says. Very heroic of you, I say sarcastically. I do the same thing I've done with every mid-boss and boss and drop it from the ceiling. Before it hits the ground, it catches itself by using earth magic and taking chunks out of the ground to slow its descent. Wow, good job. Chapter 35 exposed. Once it inevitably lowered itself to the ground, it starts endlessly growling. Why don't we have some fun with this one? I suggest. I see Eliza smile and gives a thumbs up. I notice and is wearing the bracelet on her wrist when she does. Eliza, you can go first, I say gladly, she says. She immediately takes her daggers out with her space magic. With those equipped, she runs at the monster and gives it a bunch of slices in every possible place on its body. Some cut deeper and draw more blood than others. That's enough, she says, walking back to the group. I can tell the wolf is surprised even so. It tries to attack, so I just hold it in place and... Do you want to do something? I ask. She nods. She takes a few steps towards the wolf, focuses and uses fire magic. Unfortunately, it doesn't go very well. All she manages to get out are a few sparks. She walks back with her head down, obviously saddened by what had just transpired. It's okay, it allows you use them, but it obviously doesn't give you the proficiency in it. I say, anyone else want to do anything before I take care of this? I ask the other three. They all give signals of no. All right, any suggestions? I ask the group. I have an idea and says, and she winks at me. I can tell she wants me to use the dragon part of me to do something. No, now is not the time. But it would be so fun to watch. How would that be fun to watch? You're just trying to get it out. Mind filling us in on what you two are talking about? Paul says, don't worry, ABO, and cuts me off. We have a dragon, you have a dragon, Gabriel says. All three of them are surprised. Of course they are. Who wouldn't be? Dragons are basically extinct and we just happen to have one. How did you get a dragon? Diana asks with a little bit of admiration in her voice. I also would like to know. I'm part of the party and still have yet to be told. Eliza says, not in front of the others, please, I say, beginning to show signs of annoyance. I've been telling her to tell you since we left the kingdom. I don't know why she won't and says. Way to push everything on me. Fine. You really want me to tell everyone, and why don't I just show you all then? I say with a hint of hostility. I didn't. You don't have to. She stops when I already start changing and looks down at her feet. I'm sorry. When I'm full size, I am about the same size as the wolf in front of us. I rotate 360 degrees and catch the wolf's neck on my wing and slice without resistance. There you happy? I say, looking at the group, slightly irritated by what I had just revealed. I start to walk to the other side of the room. Is that Eliza can't finish her sentence. Yes. She's a dragon. Her specific kind of dragon is how I came up with the name of our party. How you said you were sisters, we were born twins. At 8 years old, she vanished and was unable to be found. 8 years later, she suddenly came back looking and being the exact same as she did before. Besides one thing, she was a dragon. At that point, I see a pathway open at the end of the room and I fly to it. Another stairway. I fly all the way up in a matter of seconds. Unfortunately, my wingspan is larger than the width of the opening. This causes the entire stairway to collapse on itself. I notice it's nighttime already. It must have taken us a few hours to get through all of that. I find a semi-large tree, lie under it and curl myself into a coil with my head as the middle and the body and tail wrapping around. Once I feel comfortable enough, I open a portal somewhere near me that leads to and from the last floor of the dungeon where the 5 of them are. Oh, I guess we won't have to do anything. Look, I hear Gabriel say. They must have been trying to plan the best way to get out. How very considerate. I hear Paul say almost sarcastically. I release the coil of myself just enough so there is a gap the 5 of them can enter the area my body is surrounding. And starts walking up to my head and is about to say something, but I put a wall of rock between us. I also construct 5 domes for everyone to sleep in. Go to sleep, we'll leave tomorrow. I say, taking the wall of rock down. After I'm sure everyone has fallen asleep. I do as well. I see White. I look at him. Hi there. He says, ugh. I thought I told you not to make me a hero. You're not in the hero party. You could still just leave them alone and do whatever you want. They'd still beat the big bad evil guy and live to brag about it. If they could defeat the great evil, it must not be very strong. Oh, don't worry. I made it with the intent to do some damage, he says. What you said you created it, why? Why not just let people have peace? I like to watch them struggle. I look at him dumbfounded. What is he that stupid? A god is supposed to look after the people and make sure they live, not make a monster and see if they die or not. I'm shouting at him at this point. If you think it's so easy, why don't you try being God for once? That's not even possible. We'll see, he says. Before I can say anything else, he shoves me into another hole. God, I hate you. Chapter 36, Adroya. I wake up to see the sun shining at the top of the sky. All the domes of rock are gone and the 5 of them are around a fire. Why did you make a fire? It's not like it's cold outside, I ask. Not anymore, it's not, Paul says. Are we going back to the kingdom now? And asks. I sigh. We need to make sure these 3 tell the king and queen of the elves about that prophecy. No offense, but we don't really need your help. Gabriel says. Do you know the royal family personally? Well, no, but I cut him off. Do you think you will just be able to walk straight up to them? Yes, of course, we're the hero party. Are they even aware of the hero party? I'm not sure. I sigh again. Just get on so we can leave. I make stairs with the ground next to me and grabs Eliza's wrist and runs over happily and gets on with her. Come on, I've done this before, get on. She says excitedly, you must really enjoy it. Eliza says, I do, I really do. Fine, Gabriel says. Diana is the first one to run over and get on. The other 2 take their time and walk hesitantly. She said she did this before. What are you waiting for? Diana asks. Nothing, he says. He walks a little faster and gets on, followed by Paul. You're going to have to point me in the right direction. I say, directly northeast, Gabriel says. It won't take very long, so just be patient. Even if you're a dragon, it would take a few days to get there. We'll see how accurate that statement is soon. Hang on to yourselves. I say as I make a shield of air around them. I launch myself high in the sky and fly as fast as I can to the northeast. It takes longer than I anticipated. Most of that time is spent above water. I guess these are actual continents and not just what they call countries. After a few minutes, we are again above land. A couple seconds later, I stop above a kingdom that looks like a donut. The part that is supposed to have a hole has a castle. Is this the right place? I ask. Gabriel says yes. He is also impressed and says, being the only other person with telepathy, he shouldn't have doubted me. I make my descent to a field inside the castle grounds. Instantly, I am surrounded. My guards nod again. Take me to your leader, I say in a commanding voice. I'm right here, no need to fuss, someone says. I look around to see a familiar old man with dark yellow hair. Are you the same dragon I witnessed before? He asks. Yes, I am. I say, and I take down the protection of air magic. I don't think we've been introduced yet, he says. My name is Donald, the king of the elven people. Pleased to be your acquaintance, hi. You can call me Miss J, you know, the king, Diana asks. We met once. But I'm fairly certain he trusts me completely. Unfortunately. It's probably out of fear of what I am. Who are your passengers, Donald asks. 3 of them call themselves the hero party. They need to tell you something. The other 2 are with me, I say. Gabriel and Paul jump off before I can lower my wing slide for anyone. I prevent the other 3 from doing the same and let them slide down. That was fun, can we do it again? Diana asks but is ignored. Weren't you a lot smaller before? I can change my size. I proceed to become the same size as when he first saw me. About the size of a big dog, I see. Interesting. After a moment of silence, it is broken by Gabriel. We must tell you of the prophecy, the famous oracle. Her mother has spoken to us, the famous oracle. You say, Donald says yes. Gabriel says and starts telling of the prophecy. Wait, speak inside while we are alone. We must keep this a secret. If a tragic future is upon us, we must not let the populace know. Come now, man. How old is this guy? He seems like he should have died 3 millennia ago. We all follow him into the castle and so a sort of conference room. There is a big oval-shaped table in the center of the room with 10 chairs on each long part of the oval. He sits down at the table and everyone except for me sits as well. I just hop onto the table and lie there waiting for something to happen. Please leave us. He says to the guards that follow us inside. They obey his command. Now please. Tell me of the most recent prophecy. Gabriel proceeds to tell the old guy the prophecy of the hero party and the great evil. Donald just leans against the table in thought. I swear he's going to be dented by the time he pulls back out. Interesting. He says, leaning against his chair instead. Expectedly, he is not dented. And you 3 call yourselves the hero party. What makes you qualified for this? I am the prince of the demons, Paul says. I'm the one who loves the great hero the most. Diana says. I am the great hero who can use all types of magic. Gabriel says. Eliza laughs as silently as she can but makes a peep anyway. The 3 men stare at her. Gabriel and Paul in annoyance. And Donald with questioning eyes. Is something the matter? Donald asks. Well, he can't actually use all of them. He can't use legendary magic and needs this bracelet to use one of them at a time. She says, holding up the bracelet we still have yet to give. I see. Then shouldn't there be a better group more suited to these requirements? He asks the other 3 of us.